What's going on, Ringside Nation? The Ring Boys are back to cover another gorgeous fight night. Here with my beautiful co-host, Artie and Doc. How we feeling, boys?
Feeling great. Ready for 3 more weeks of fight nights.
Doc, how we feeling?
Yeah, doing okay. But beautiful is a strong word to describe.
That was complete sarcasm. I was going to rip right into it. We'll start off. We're not going down the whole chart. We'll just talk about the fights we like. Rose Namajunas, my luck of the card. My girl, one of my favorite UFC fighters. I'm still Thug Rose, Team Thug Rose. I think this is our second fight in the flyweight division. I could be wrong. And I've just learned betting on Rose. You just, whenever she should lose as a favorite, she just does it. And I felt like that was one of those nights. Gets the unanimous decision. And yeah. Artie, you want to talk about why you picked Amanda Ebus?
I think it was a very solid pick, and I think, honestly, I was very surprised it was a unanimous decision, and especially with some of the way that some of the judges scored it at 46-49. I think the 47-48 was much closer to how the fight actually went. I think US did a very, very good job of making sure that she was able to bring the action to Rose. She had some very good takedowns. Rose was able to reverse some of those, but nonetheless, it was a good fight. Like I said, surprised it was unanimous, but I guess I could see it, but not really at all, actually. Doc, on to you.
Yeah, good win for Rose. I think in general, Rose a few years back was a much more exciting fighter than she is right now. And to me, I'm a bit frustrated with the performance that she had. She doesn't seem to be the killer that she once was, or maybe she has it in her, but she's scared to use it. She's scared to put herself into vulnerable positions. And I kind of understood it more when she was the champ. But now, she's gotten a few losses under her belt. She's questioning her own abilities, and I feel like what would really help her is if she tried to go for a knockout or whatever. And she has the ability to do it, but she really didn't show it against Rivas. And when fighting against someone of the caliber of Rivas, she could have easily lost this fight. So I don't know if it's from the coach's standpoint or from her own hesitancy to try and get a knockout or a very decisive win. But I left this fight a bit frustrated, but good to see Rose in the win column. I just hope that she puts on better performances in the future.
Can I say more to that? I think your statement's very accurate because her striking looked good. It's just that she would throw one punch and then get out. And she kept doing that over and over again, and then she would get into her corner, and her corner would say, "Oh, you're winning this. You're doing great. Keep doing this." And I to your point, when she was a championship fighter, it makes sense when you're fighting for points. But at this point, I think people are they want to see something exciting from her. Like it's been far too long that we've come out and we've watched a fight go to a decision that has Rose Namajunas in it. Like it's not great in my opinion, and I don't know. It's not good not a good look.
Yeah, like I said, I'm still gonna always be Team Thug Rose. I agree this wasn't the best performance, and after doing that and calling out Macy Barber, who's been hospitalized for like 9 days with pneumonia, we'll see if they make that wish come true. But if I'm Rose calling out Macy, I don't know. I'm not backing Rose on that fight. So just have to wait and see how the cards play out. Speaking of cards playing out, taking a fight 1 day notice for your brother, and then your brother actually recovering after injury and fighting Colorado Williams and losing. I'm still very, very shocked and impressed. Justin Tafa took this fight and still made it with what his injury was. Did they end up saying what it was? Was it ever reported?
I don't think so. They said it was something with his knee, but I'm not sure.
I swear I saw something that said he tore his ACL or MCL or something, and I was like, imagine just still fighting on that. Nonetheless, Carl Williams gets the job done. Artie, again, you picking your boy Tafa per usual. How did you feel with this one?
I mean, I always will pick it, but at this point, I just can't say I'm surprised. that type of like brawler heavyweight fighter is no longer something that the UFC is really going towards anymore. So just one of those things. It's like I said before, if Tony Ferguson was on this fighting Francis Ngannou, I would still pick Tony Ferguson just because I'm a fan. So it just is how it rolls. Doc?
Yeah, we witnessed it last week with Tai Tuivasa. We witness it here with Justin Tafa. You get these big strikers on the ground and they can't do anything, and you need to adapt to what the new UFC is, and you have to be good both on the feet and on the ground. You have to be able to defend takedowns. And Justin Tafa just doesn't have that ability. And I don't think that Carl Williams is that fantastic of a fighter. But the reason I picked him here is because there's a clear path to victory against these big power punchers. It's fun when they land, but when they don't land, they end up on the ground and they stay there for the entire round. So Justin Tafa also isn't massive for this division. I don't think he hits 265. And I know that he hasn't in the past. I might be confusing it with his brother. But he has room to go on becoming a better defender of takedowns if he wants to win. Otherwise, he is a fan favorite, but people have been cut for less than what Justin Tafa has done.
Does he reside in the United States at the moment? Does he live in California or something like that?
I think he does, yeah.
I'm surprised because I feel like I know just generally I'm not sure. Like I feel like the wrestling should be better. I feel like all the clips we see of them before they walk into the ring is just them like with wrestling shoes on, just going at it on the mat. But like you just never see it. No defense, nothing. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, and it's sad to see he got dominated on the feet as well. Just I'm still tipping the cap. You took the fight. You showed up. Take your check. Pass go. Collect $200. We'll see you on the next one. Edmund Shabazian, a ringer for the Ring Boys. We're not ringing the bell on this. This card does not deserve the bell. We're only doing it for pay-per-views going forward now. I think that's a good executive decision from all of us. But yeah, Shabazian just knocking out AJ Dobson so bad. He knocked him out of the UFC and he got cut. Pretty simple, straightforward. Do we have any other thoughts on that fight?
Doc, I'll let you go.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is important for Edmund. As I was talking about last week, this was a fight where Edmund Shabazian came in, huge prospect, had a bunch of hype behind him, went on this very bad losing streak where he looked like garbage, and his chin got exposed. So taking on a fight with AJ Dobson, who has fought some really tough people, this was an important step for Edmund. But if Edmund would have lost, I think that he would have been cut too. So great job, not just winning by points. He might be starting to build up his hype train a little bit. I think he's far from where he was as a UFC fighter a few years back, but good for him to win. And he's clearly improving, which it's nice to see. But he has a long way to go from here.
What's crazy to me is he's 26 years old and he's been fighting in the UFC since 2018. Like, it's absurd.
Well, his goal was to be the youngest UFC champ. Like he was going to be John Jones. Come on.
Nonetheless, he's bouncing back. Already, any thoughts?
Super stacked division. I agree with what Doc said, but some of his losses were to some really big names. And at 26, I feel like it's something that he'd kind of forgive and forget for guys like this because they do have room to grow. But this is middleweight is a super stacked division. So every time you're out there, you have to be impressive, or you could be on that same end that AJ Dobson was, where if you're not cutting it anymore, there's a million other guys that are going to be trying. So you got to be good every time you come out.
It's crazy that you brought up the losses. The 4 losses he's had in recent years were Derek Brunson, Jack Hermanson, Nasruddin Imavov, and Anthony Hernandez. And those are all really solid fighters. So it's like, I wonder what?
Look at his wins. He's beaten Tavares.
Yeah. But it's like when you're going down that hill, it's really hard to just get one back. And it's good to it's good to knock someone out, get them cut out of the UFC. That should be good for a confidence boost. I'm going to keep a firm eye on Edmund. The other young guy I'm going to keep an eye on, Peyton Talbot. Get the mic away from him. But nonetheless, gets the undefeated streak extended. Defeats Cameron Saman. We all called this one. And I know we saw the knee from Sean O'Malley on Cheeto, but the knee that he gave to Cameron, like, that was just as impressive equally to me. And I mean, just disgusting refereeing overall. You hated to see it. Artie, I know you're passionate about this one, so I'll hand off the talking stick and let you discuss this one.
Yeah, it's Chris Tognoni. He just needs to be out of there. It's gross. Like, this fight should have ended in the first round. It was impressive as it was because Cameron Simon is also a very good fighter. So, like, I don't get it. He was out, and Peyton was just still throwing hammer fists while he was on the ground, completely out. And Chris Tognoni was just kind of standing there like, ooh, a fight's happening in front of me. It's gross. I don't know why we see it every single week and it keeps happening. I think in the best interest for everybody, like, we want safety because we want these guys to fight multiple times a year. But when it happens in the ring and the guy who's supposed to save you isn't saving you, like, that's tough. Like, I don't get it. Doc, to you.
Yeah. First of all, great performance by Peyton Talbot. Young guy, exciting guy, fast with his hands, very precise striker. So hopefully he keeps moving up in the rankings here. But back to the more important talking point, Chris Tognoni, we've said it maybe like double-digit times already since starting this podcast. When he refs a fight, people like are getting pretty close to dying, and it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yep.
It happens week in, week out. I've said that I think he should be fired months ago because it's common. And these fighters, I'm sure that now when they see that Chris Tognoni is reffing their fight, that completely changes the game plan. Like, they need to focus on not dying at the end of the day. And I really don't know if Dana makes this decision, if it's like the Vegas Athletic Commission makes this decision, but we got to get him out of there. Fighter safety, enforcing the rules. So many times he's gone in and stopped fighters when there's been a cup shot that wasn't that. The fence grabs that he has, like 50% of the time he calls him, 50% of the time he doesn't. So you really don't know what you're doing in the ring with him. And yeah, he's called fights where he thinks someone got submitted early. Whenever people get knocked out, he wants to see them knocked into like a different atmosphere. So there's no consistency. He shouldn't be reffing.
Yeah, I think honestly, I feel like somebody else said this not long ago, but why don't they get fighters who have retired to stay in the UFC and, do things like this? Why can't they, go take the classes and become a judge so we get more like judging that's more straightforward that everybody understands, or somebody in the ring who understands fighter safety and knows, like, maybe this submission is there and, I know that this person can still get out of it. They just understand a lot more than I think some of these guys do, and that would be very good, like, way for them to keep fighters in the UFC, especially some people who are, good for the sport as well. Like, they do it for power slap. Get Anthony Smith in the ring in the octagon when a UFC fight's going on. Who cares about power slap?
I was literally going to say, I was going to start my take with, let's just give Chris Tognoni the Supermax and go be power slap ref and just stay over there, bro. Just stay over there. That's actually a really interesting point you bring up about like having like UFC fighters be judges and be more towards the actual officiating side and getting licensed. Like, imagine just seeing Rampage Jackson as a ref. I'm there. I'm all for it.
I want to see Robbie Lawler.
Robbie
we see
Lawler
him
would be
all of these events. Robbie Lawler's in the crowd, but super passionate about fighting. He's a coach right now. I feel like it would be great to see him either judging fights or being the ref.
Couldn't
That's
agree
my
more.
vote.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, no overall agenda for the rest of this card, but there is one big storyline we definitely have to cover. It's obvious if you watch the card, but that's why you watch the Ring Boys. We get you guys up to speed. Andre Lima just absolutely persevering. I think who's it? Alexandre Burrow, the dude who bit Milan Lucic back in hockey, and you get bit through a mouth guard. It's one thing, and you get bit, you win by DQ, and you go immediately after the fight, get the bite mark tattooed on you. Like, Dana White reposts it and just goes, I was going to give him $25K. I'm giving him 50 now. Or this is awesome. And it's like, that tattoo is insane. Yeah, overall, these are the two guys that were both undefeated. A lot of hype going into this one. And just overall, you hate to see the bite happen. But, I mean, this awesome storyline's insane. I think, I forget who it was. I think it was Gilbert Yvel or something. I saw something about the UFC signing him when they knew he had like a ton of DQs. He knew he had bitten opponents before, and like they still ended up having him go in there. I think he even like knocked out a ref at some point. And it's like, now we need to really run the scouting reports, because I'm glad these are two undefeated kids, and we're getting the hype going on the hype train going on these guys. But we got to run a better scouting report. Like, can't have any more DQs on fight nights. I'll leave the floor to you, boys.
Yeah, it was a very, very exciting fight. Igor Severino, in my opinion, was winning it up until that point. Once again, Chris Tognoni, there was 3 or 4 very blatant fence grabs that were not called. And I think Igor got very frustrated, and that's how he took it out. Obviously, that's very stupid, because you could do something else completely different and still, get your frustration out. But what he did got his purse withheld, and it got him cut from the UFC, which is 2 very terrible things when you have bills to pay, especially as we've talked about it. Fighters have to pay their gym. They have to make sure that they can pay for the travel. And when something like this happens and your purse gets withheld, and especially you're at 20 years old and you're a very exciting prospect for the UFC, like that's dumb. It's really stupid. And I can honestly say I understand why he was cut. Like, it was not great. Doc?
I think it was a very easy decision for Dana, and a very important decision for Dana to cut him, because this sets a precedent for the future. No more biting. I remember there was a fighter. His first name started with an R. Last name was like Paul Harris. He was a guy that was infamous for holding knee bars like way too long and like tearing people's ACLs. Also got cut from the UFC. Like Dana is a no nonsense guy, and I'm glad that he did this. Sucks for Igor, because super talented fighter. But if you can't control your emotions and you have lethal abilities in your arms and your legs, you don't want someone like that in the ring. Again, it's all about protecting the fighters. And if you have Chris Tognoni and Igor Severino in the ring at the same time, get out of there. Come on.
Yeah, he took the dogfight too, literally. Oh man, I was sitting on that joke all weekend. I was so glad and so ready I can finally say it. Nonetheless, I feel like that's overall. I don't know if you boys have any other aspects. I know, Doc, you're
I have an aspect. Yeah.
Big Zalal fan, and I know that's coming.
Well, Zalal looked good. I was going to mention, I had a fantastic performance this card.
Okay.
I will say, this is 2 weeks in a row. I have cut through the deficit, and all of a sudden I'm back in the lead where I should be. 11 for 13, pretty strong work. I will say that a lot of these fighters I really didn't know. So hopefully I'll have more insight for the next card, and then definitely UFC 300, and maybe my picks will be right. Classic, my lock of the card, Ricardo Ramos.
About to say.
The one that I was certain about did not happen. He looked fantastic until he got caught in the guillotine. I have no idea how Brazilian a Brazilian guy with a black belt in BJJ gets submitted by guillotine after hurting Julian Erosa really bad on multiple occasions in that first round. But hey, could have been 12-13, but
it is what it is. You missed the lock of the card, which is the more important aspect to us.
I agree.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Nonetheless,
what do you guys think of mine?
You got
was the number too low? Should I go higher next time?
You got the decision aspect. You know what you need to do? You need to find the betting line on it next time too, just to have it for like consideration.
That would be a crazy prop bet if you could actually put something like that in. Like,
yeah,
who would have known? Like, there's going to be, let's see, there's quite a few submissions in this on this card. I feel like for just a usual fight night, which was kind of crazy in my opinion. But yeah, 7 decisions. So yeah, shout out that lock of the card. Maybe I'll do a different one next time.
That'll be an interesting perspective. Nonetheless, I know we normally do news. I only have one thing of news, unless you guys have other things. This literally just came out just now, and it's big for our fantasy. Alexander Volkov will be fighting Jailton Almeida, and it's my UFC fantasy fighter, and that's Artie's UFC fantasy fighter. So it's a pretty big fight. Thought I'd bring that one up. Artie, what are your first initial thoughts?
That'd be a banger. That sounds good.
Doc?
Volkov, like, obviously will need to polish up his wrestling defense, but like that sounds like that'll be a really good fight. And I feel like for Volkov, it's very important too. So we might see a version of him that maybe we haven't seen in a little while either. I know he came off a big win, but nonetheless, because I think if he loses that one, I think he's going to retire. He already said that this was going to be his last shot for the gold, and that was going to be it. So. Doc?
Yeah, this does sound like a really good fight, and Volkov actually has pretty good takedown D. That being said, Jailton Almeida threw around Curtis Blade, so like nobody can defend his takedowns, is what it seems like. But what will give Almeida some issues is Volkov's length, and he has a ton of power, and he's a sharpshooter. So. It's possible that on one of these takedown attempts, Volkov can clip him and knock him out as well. We got to see how this chin is doing after getting 20 hammer fists to his face. But this is good. It's good to see Almeida back pretty fast. He's hungry, great fighter. So I think it should be a good fight. But where's my heavyweight fighter? What's his name? Hasn't been out in a while.
Ryan Spann? Or
No. The Russian guy. The other Russian
Sergey?
guy.
Oh, Sergey Pavlovich?
Yeah, Pavlovich. Bring me Pavlovich.
I don't know why I said Ryan
Spann. He's training, so I'm sure he probably will have something lined up this summer.
Yeah, I hope.
My biggest like attachment to Drago is UFC 229 when he fought Derek Lewis and pulled it off. That was insane. That's what I'll always remember him for.
Hey, at least he fights until the end.
Yeah.
Even when he's up on points.
It's hard to see a fighter do that and actually go the distance and do his best. Well, nonetheless, Jailton Almeida is going to win that one, in my opinion. I wish they made it for 301. It's actually for 302, which is June 1st. It would have been cool to see Jailton in Brazil, but
is that the main event?
I don't know.
Not. I hope not. It can't be.
What is 302? Because I was, for whatever reason,
New
today
Jersey.
It's not on the UFC website. It's not on ESPN, which is super strange because I was actually looking for it because it's right around time that we should be hanging out. Or I thought it was going to be, but like,
yeah,
there's just a huge break in like events going on, and I was very surprised I couldn't find anything.
According to Wikipedia, which is very, very creditable, hint, hint, wink, wink. It has 8 references in the footer, so it's a trusted source, boys. But no, enough of the source. Trust me, bro. That fight is confirmed. We know that much. We don't know if it's actually going to be in New Jersey. We'll obviously be covering that card in June. Can't wait for the summer. Can't wait for warmer weather. Can't wait for better fights. And sick of these fight nights. We're still going to cover them. Yeah, overall, I think I can just read through the prediction accuracies as we mentioned. Doc 11 for 13. Artie and I tied 7 for 13. Yearly fight night accurate. Did we update these?
I did.
Oh, you're a legend. Yearly fight night accuracies. Artie 43 for 84. Myself 45 for 84. Doc 49 for 84. Doc is a fight night merchant. That's where he gets his picks. I'm kidding. And overall, 65 for 121 for Artie, 66 for 121 for myself. Doc now takes the lead with 68, 121. We'll give you your Woody Page moment. Doc, what do you want to say before we sign off?
Yeah, I'll say one other thing that has been brought up in the news is Islam Makhachev and Dustin Poirier have been beefing a little bit. Dustin saying that he can beat anybody. He deserves this chance. Islam telling him that if you could beat anybody, you would have the belt. Ruthless trash talk from Islam Makhachev, and you love to see it. English being his second language, he's a funny guy, and he's still got fire on his tongue. So that's all I'll say. I'm Team Makhachev for this one.
What's his name? What's his manager's name? Abdulaziz. What's his name?
Yeah, Ali.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he has control over their social media accounts. So
he might, but there's also been times like I was just watching this Islam Makhachev against Bobby Green. They're at the weigh-ins. They announce it as like the main event, 5-round fight, and the camera pans over to Islam Makhachev, and he's like, "I only need 2, brother," and then he knocks him out in the first round. He's like 2 maximum, knocks him out in the first round.
Oh boy, yeah, I can't wait. I really hope that fight gets made sooner than later. I want to see Islam in action. And yeah, good call it, Doc. And yeah, I think I would rather watch that this fight card again rather than Roadhouse. So I can tell you that much in pure confidence. Nonetheless, anything else before we sign off here, boys?
Nothing. Next fight card should be really exciting though. There's quite a few decent fights on there.
Blanchfield, Fiorot, what is it, Buckley, and I forget the other dude's name already.
Vicente Luque, Chris Weidman, Bruno Silva. There's quite a bit. We don't have to go through all of them. So
you guys gotta wait for that
on the next pod.
Guys gotta wait.
Actually ranked fighters on a fight night. What?
Bill Algeo, Prince of Prussia.
Prince of Prussia. That's a good one. You did steal that one. All right. We love you, Ringside Nation. We'll be back next week. And yeah, bye-bye.